Update 2. My brother told our parents, she's just a woman. Give the family business to me. They listened and cut me out completely. I was heartbroken until the lawyer smiled and said, actually, your grandfather left something just for you. When my brother saw it, his smug face disappeared instantly. Revenge time. Dad, fix this, he hissed, but there was nothing they could do. My grandfather had planned this perfectly, and I was about to make my move. Nick was pale. My dad's mouth opened and closed like a fish. My mom just sat there, gripping her purse so hard her knuckles turned white. I sat back in my chair, fingers resting on the folder of documents. My mind was racing, but I kept my face calm. This was bigger than just sticking it to my brother. This was my lifeline. The lawyer cleared his throat. Now, if there are no further questions, that concludes the reading of the will. Nick snapped. He turned to my dad. Do something. You can challenge the will, right? The lawyer gave him a polite, almost pitying smile. Your grandfather's legal team made sure everything was airtight. There's no basis for a challenge. My father clenched his jaw. He wasn't used to losing. Then my mother tried a different tactic. She reached across the table and placed a hand on mine. Honey, she said, her voice dripping with sweetness, why don't we be reasonable? That workshop has no real value to you. It's just an old building. Why don't you sign it over to your brother? We can arrange something fair. Fair? Like how it was fair when they handed the company to Nick without a second thought. Like how it was fair that they saw me as nothing more than his assistant. I looked at her hand on mine. Slowly, I pulled away. No. She blinked, caught off guard. Excuse me? I said no, I repeated, my voice steady. Nick scoffed. Jesus, don't be a brat. You don't even know what to do with patents. I smiled, maybe, but you do. And that's the problem. The power shift. I left that meeting with my head held high. But the real battle was just starting. I needed a plan. First, I met with a patent attorney. I needed to understand exactly what I had. And what I had was gold. The patents my grandfather left me. They covered critical processes that our company relied on every single day. Without them, production would grind to a halt. The contract that allowed my father's company to use those patents. It was set to expire in 6 months. And I wasn't renewing it. Nick and my father must have realized this, because 2 weeks later, I got a call. Let's be practical, my dad said, his voice carefully neutral. Why don't we buy you out? We'll make a generous offer. How generous? A pause, then he named a number. It was laughable. They were trying to lowball me, hoping I'd panic and take the first offer. No thanks, I said, and hung up. 2 days later, Nick showed up at my apartment. He was furious. Are you out of your damn mind? He snapped. You're screwing over the whole company because of some petty grudge. I crossed my arms. You mean the company you stole from me? His face turned red. It wasn't yours. I tilted my head. And yet, you need my patents to keep it running. He clenched his fists. Fine. Name your price. I smiled. No. Nick looked genuinely confused. What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm not selling, I'm keeping them. His eyes went wide. For the first time in his life, he realized he wasn't in control. And I was just getting started. The breakdown. Over the next few months, I watched the company fall apart from a distance. My father tried to negotiate with other suppliers, but nobody could replicate the exact process covered by my patents. Contracts started falling through. Clients backed out, investors got nervous. Then came the layoffs. Nick tried to hide the damage, but you can't hide mass layoffs. Employees started quitting, suppliers pulled out. The business that had once been our family's legacy was now crumbling. And I wasn't done yet. The final blow. 3 months before the patents officially expired, I made my move. I reopened my grandfather's old workshop. Took out a loan. Brought in former employees who had been fired or mistreated by my father and Nick. And I started my own company. But here's the real kicker, I licensed the patents to my own company. Which meant that if any of my father's clients wanted to continue using those manufacturing processes, they had to come to me. And they did. By the time the 6-month deadline hit, my father's company was on life support. Nick called me, his voice was desperate. Please, he said, we'll pay whatever you want. I let the silence stretch. Then I said, no. And I meant it. Because this time, I was in control. For a while, I thought that was the end of it. My company was growing, my grandfather's legacy was safe. And my brother was finally suffering the consequences of his arrogance. But I should have known, Nick wouldn't go down quietly. The desperation move. About a year after my company took off, I got a call from one of my clients. "You might want to see this," he said, sending me a link. I opened it, and my stomach dropped. Nick had started a new company. And not just any company, he was selling a new product that looked suspiciously like something from my grandfather's patented processes. A chill ran down my spine. Did he really think he could outsmart me? The stolen secrets. I hired a specialist to investigate. Sure enough, I found out that Nick had stolen proprietary data from my company. How? One of my trusted employees, someone I had hired from my father's failing company, had been secretly working for Nick. I felt sick. This person had access to confidential designs and formulas. And they had been feeding Nick everything. Now, Nick was trying to undercut my business with my own stolen technology. I was livid. The legal war. Nick thought I'd just sit there and take it. But if he wanted a fight, I'd give him one. I filed a lawsuit so fast. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.